Hey everybody, Tim and Julie here for another Batman review. We watched the Batman movie from 1989, the Tim Burton movie, and now the sequel to that one, Batman Returns, 1992. Jordan wasn't even born yet. 89, 99, so 3 years later, the second Tim Burton movie, yeah, Batman Returns. What'd you think?
I loved it.
You loved it? Okay.
That was great.
Okay. Is there more? Like what about it you like? What didn't you like?
Some of the scenes were funny,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had to laugh. But and the penguin trying to find his parents
Mm-hmm.
and rescuing the baby.
Okay.
You know that
Oh
was
yeah.
We I don't know whose baby it was.
The mayor's.
The mayor's
Mm-hmm.
and how one of his
Henchmen.
henchmen grabbed the baby, took it down, and
It's like this elaborate
yeah,
scheme.
yeah, and Penguin was right there, and he handed the baby to him and brought him back up and gave him back to the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, that is so sweet. But I knew there was something behind it.
Mm-hmm. So for this one, so first off, we'll back up just a little bit. I didn't mention it in the last video because I didn't think about it at the time. So you and I we're basically doing all of Batman, and we started with the original in 1943.
Right.
And it was Batman and Robin, and then we're watching the 1966 Adam West, and it's Batman and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
These two movies are the first time that we've actually seen Batman by himself.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Never in the 60s show do they actually say Oswald Cobblepot and Selina Kyle for the Penguin and Catwoman. So I think that's interesting because they actually name them in this one.
Right.
They say Jack Napier in the first Tim Burton movie, but that doesn't matter. Like the Joker doesn't really have a name. So, but I mean that first movie actually kind of messed up a lot of stuff because they also say like he killed Bruce Wayne's parents.
Right.
But if you read the comics, it's actually there is an established killer. His name was Joe Chill. So like these movies definitely take a lot of liberties to their own thing. That being said, so there's just so much to talk about with this movie. So we see Selina Kyle as Catwoman. We see Oswald Cobblepot as the Penguin. There's a lot of actors in this. So
yes.
we see Michael Keaton return. Michelle Pfeiffer, who I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
She was sweet.
She's great. As Catwoman, we see Danny DeVito as the Penguin. We see Christopher Walken as Max. So Tim Burton is one of those directors, he likes to reuse a lot of his actors. So before this, like he had already done Beetlejuice and Batman with Michael Keaton. After this, he uses Michael Gough, the guy who plays Alfred, in a lot of animated movies like The Corpse Bride, Alice in Wonderland, stuff like that. Danny DeVito, he was in Mars Attacks. I haven't seen the new Dumbo, but I know he's in the new Dumbo, which also Michael Keaton's in. So it's like Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton return. Oh, and Danny DeVito was in Big Fish. So that's like 4 movies. Michelle Pfeiffer was in Dark Shadows. Christopher Walken was in Sleepy Hollow. So he likes to use a lot of the same people over and over again, which is good because it means he likes them. In that same thing, do you know, random trivia fact, what Tim Burton's first movie that he directed was? Like big budget movie.
No.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see Pee-wee's Big Adventure? It was like 1985.
I probably did.
I'm not a big Pee-wee fan, but it is what it is. The main characters are Paul Reubens, who plays Pee-wee Herman, and Diane Salinger, who plays Simone, the female lead in that. In the beginning of this movie, the whole plot is like the Cobblepots have their baby born, he's deformed, so they throw him over a bridge. His parents are Paul Rubens and Diane Salinger.
Oh,
the two main stars from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, okay.
So, again, like, just reusing the same people. I have never seen it, but depending on how long we do Batman, if we do it beginning to end, if we stop somewhere, it doesn't matter. But recently there was a show called Gotham, and it's all about, like, it's actually about a younger Commissioner Gordon when he's just a detective, like when he first moves to Gotham. So like Bruce Wayne's like 10 or something.
Okay.
And the Penguin is in that. Not this type of penguin, it's a different type of penguin. And his father is once again played by Paul Rubens.
Oh, okay.
So it's a nice little connection. But lots of stupid references like that. Let's see. There's so much to talk about for this. I don't even know. I feel like keeping it pretty down. I would say this is actually my favorite Batman movie. I love it. It's dark, it's creepy.
You told me it was going to be dark and creepy,
and weird.
But
like, it is very Tim Burton-esque.
But I loved it.
Good.
I loved
good.
it.
I was a little worried because of the first movie, and you were like, it's kind of, that's different.
Yeah.
And like this is a very, very different Penguin than the Adam West.
I loved his duck.
Oh, the little rubber ducky?
Yeah.
That was good. God, I don't know. We see a lot more stuff. Probably my favorite line in this whole thing that I used to quote all the time, because Jordan and I have been married for 9 years now. So before 9 years ago, I loved when she gets home and she's like, "Honey, I'm home." I forgot I'm not married. I was like, oh, that used to be me when I was single. I would actually quote this movie every day. Because this is a Penguin movie, I have to give a shout out to Andrew, because I've mentioned before how Andrew's obsessed with umbrellas and stuff. We see a sword umbrella, we see a fire umbrella, we see a hypno umbrella. I know he has the sword and the hypno. Like, Andrew has like 900 umbrellas. And I know for a fact he has those too. I don't think he has a fire umbrella though, which is probably for the best.
What was the umbrella that had the little characters?
Oh, I think those were just like Tim Burton characters. Okay, I think they were just random. I didn't know
the purpose of why Penguin had it out.
My favorite thing was actually his flying umbrella, where he actually like steps on it and he like floats up to the top. I loved that one. The umbrellas. Oh, and the part where they're like putting stuff around him, like trying to make him mayor, they give him the cigarette holder for a split second and then he spits it out. I think that's because like it was the early 90s, so like smoking was bad type thing, because this came out in 92. So I mean there were still like smoking sections in restaurants and stuff, but it was when that was phasing out. So we caught that. So I'm a big Star Trek fan. I love Star Trek. And in the 80s, maybe the 70s, I don't remember, Leonard Nimoy had like this absolute hatred for Star Trek, supposedly. And where people would just contact him all the time. And he wrote an autobiography called I Am Not Spock. It was this whole book about how he is not Spock. And then years went down the road, and Leonard Nimoy wrote a second autobiography after he had kind of reconciled with Star Trek. Right. And he wrote a second autobiography called I Am Spock. Mm-hmm. So it was like at the time, because people do that. People change their minds and mood swings, stuff like that. And at the time, he had a negative relationship with Star Trek, and he's like, fuck you, I'm not Spock. And then years down the road, he's like, okay, I am Spock. This movie, I don't know if it's a reference to it or not, but the opening scene when we see the penguin and they're like, penguin, penguin. He's like, I am not a penguin. A penguin is a flightless bird. Mm-hmm. And then later on, he's like, I am not a human. I am a penguin. Like, that reminded me of the I'm not Spock. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I am Spock. So that could be me reading way too much into it. But me being a Trekkie, I was like, ooh. So this movie was originally, when it was supposed to come out, was supposed to be a very direct sequel. And then Tim Burton was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Because Vicky Vale was supposed to come back. Right. in the first movie, we saw Billy D. Williams play
Uh-huh.
Harvey Dent. We were supposed to see Harvey Dent come back. Harvey Dent's character was completely rearranged, and that's where we got the Christopher Walken character.
Oh, okay.
And then they bring up Vicky Vale twice.
Yes, they did.
So that I was actually surprised about. I don't know if it's a reference or not, but in the original series, we see the Penguin take over the Batmobile at least twice.
Yeah.
Like, there was one episode, and I think he did it in the movie as well, where he steals the Batmobile completely. Right. And this one, we see him take over it, which I love. With the whole little rocking, like, him driving. I absolutely love that.
And then his henchmen taking it apart.
Yep.
Taking it apart.
Which I didn't like the part where he has to go through the narrow alleyway and,
it looked like
pieces of it.
Yeah, it looked like a little train there, that one section.
It was like a rocket.
Yeah,
and like pieces just fall off so he can fit. I love the scene up to that.
And knock people out of the way.
Oh yeah, that part too. But like I liked the part up to the alley where he's getting ready to drive through and he's pushing buttons but they're not working. And he's like, "Okay, I'm worried." I was like, that I loved. Some people have talked about this movie for like the I don't want to say philosophical. I don't think that's the right word. But there's a lot of things where Batman thinks of himself as Batman. Like in the comics, for example, there's a comic where Wonder Woman is it Wonder Woman? I don't remember who it is. It doesn't matter. Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are holding the lasso of truth. So if you're touching it, you have to say the truth. And she's like, everybody say what your actual name is. Like, give me your real name.
Uh-huh.
And Wonder Woman is holding it, and she's like, Diana. Okay. Clark Kent holds it, or Superman holds it, and he's like, Kal-El, because that's his actual Kryptonian name. Mm-hmm. Batman holds it, and he's like, Batman. And everybody's like, what? Because that's how much Batman is part of him. He thinks of Bruce Wayne as the hidden part, but Batman is who he really is. He really is, yes. So there's deep philosophical stuff like that. And in this, there's a scene where they're at a masquerade party. And everybody's wearing masks and dancing and stuff like that. The only two people that are not wearing a mask is Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle.
Right.
Because people are inferring that because they're dressed as Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne, that is their mask.
Oh, okay.
Because they're actually Batman and Catwoman.
Right.
That's who they are. And then these fake personas are their masks. And I was like, that's a little deep, but I actually kind of like it. Like, it kind of makes sense to me. Yeah. Let's see. We see the hang glider. We see the bat boat. We see the weird rocket thing. We see the sarcophagus thing where he reaches in the fish tank and pushes the button.
You had to rewind it and watch it again.
Yeah, because I was like, what just happened? Yeah.
Yeah, because why wasn't he getting electrocuted, Electric in
the water.
In the water. But yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wish it had just been like a Shakespeare bust and he just lifted up the head and pushed the button. Yeah.
But that was weird, because
it has to be a reference to the 66 show where you push a button and then and then he just drops through the sarcophagus.
There was no poles or anything. Mm-hmm. He
just dropped straight down. So I don't know. I think it was kind of a reference, but it was kind of interesting though. God, that's about all I got though. They bring up Vicky Vale. Yeah, that's for you. Oh, and then how the fuck does she make an entire suit out of a jacket? You sew. You go to your sewing groups.
Yeah.
You can't do it. That's movie magic for you.
But then when you saw her in her suit, you can see she wasn't a good seamstress.
Well, I think that was part of the Tim Burton thing.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. How could
you don't make a whole suit out of that?
No.
So that's all I got. I love the movie overall. I think it's great. The Penguin, the Catwoman, which I love Michelle Pfeiffer. Again, I'll say it.
But I liked at the end when the Joker, or not the Joker, the Penguin was knocked out or shot or whatever.
And when he died?
Died, and then the penguins came down and kind of pushed him into his home. That was sad, but...
I think Danny DeVito did a great Penguin, though. He fucking nailed it.
Yes,
he
did.
I mean, like I said, Michelle Pfeiffer's great. Michael Keaton's great. I like Christopher Walken, but I don't know what was going on with his hair.
Yeah, his hair and his face. I mean, yeah.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he is.
And he did, like, he played a Bond villain. I don't remember which movie it is off the top of my head. I think it was Goldfinger. But anyways, shouldn't have said that because somebody's gonna be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyways, he's played a Bond villain before, and that's what this role reminded me of. And because he plays creepy really well, like the whole scene where he is about to push her out of the window, and then he's like, "I'm just kidding," and then he actually does.
He actually did. Yeah.
Like, he's super creepy. He does fantastic, but his hair was too much for me.
Yeah, but like Catwoman, cats have 9 lives, and she had, 2 left at the end?
So, the funny thing about that, the trivia fact, I don't know if it's true, but I've read this numerous times over the years, is that was added at literally weeks before this movie actually came out. So that's not actually Michelle Pfeiffer. That's somebody else. And Michelle Pfeiffer didn't even know they had put it in there. Because, they were watching it, and she's like, when the fuck is that put in? Because it's one of those, movie executive, a director always has, this vision in mind. Here's what I want to do. But the producers, the studio executives always, they have dollar signs in mind.
Right.
And so Tim Burton, here's my beginning, here's my end, and we're done. Because Tim Burton doesn't really like sequels. And so the executives were like, we got money right there. So they just wanted to put a little bit of a cliffhanger. So they just let's just have Catwoman pop up at the end.
Right.
No, don't even show her, just pop up a little bit and then boom. Because then if we decide to do a third one, we might be able to do it again.
Yeah, because it was weird that as Alfred and Batman or Bruce Wayne were leaving, and they were going down an alley, and he thought he saw, and he told Alfred to stop, and so he gets out and he's looking around trying to find her, and then her cat shows up. It looked like my Spooky.
Oh.
But yeah, that was, to me, that was, there's going to be a sequel sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the comics, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle do have this on-again, off-again relationship. But, I mean, that's the thing about comics, is you can do whatever you want, and it is what it is. Because in some of the comics, she knows who he is, in some of the comics, she doesn't.
Yeah, because when he ripped his mask...
In some of the comics, they actually have a child together. There's a TV show called Birds of Prey, and it's all about their daughter, called the Huntress. But in then other comics, there is a character called the Huntress who's not related to Bruce or Selina. So, comics, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So you did like it.
I loved it, yeah.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. I was a little worried. Like I said, so this is the second out of 4. Even though the 4 are roughly connected, they're not none of them are right into the next. This is the last of the Tim Burton. After this, Joel Schumacher takes over directing them. But you did like it. There's rumors that Michael Keaton is going to be playing an old Bruce Wayne in a new movie, within the next couple years, as this old retired Batman. So that'll be interesting. Because I feel like Michael Keaton wasn't in this very much compared to the first one. I feel like it focused on Selina and the Penguin, Catwoman more than it did Batman.
Right.
But it'll be interesting. Closing thoughts. So you've seen the movie version of the Joker, you've seen the movie version of Catwoman, the movie version of the Penguin. Who, I'm not going to tell you, but who are you hoping to see in the third movie?
I don't know.
That's whoever you want.
Riddler, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. It's whoever you want. I mean, it's up to you. You could be like, I don't care. Zelda.
Oh, no. We don't want to sell it.
False Face. Whoever the Robin Hood character was in season 2.
Yeah. Or maybe bring Robin back.
Okay. I love asking this just because, I don't know if you remember, but in the first Batman movie, I asked you who you wanted to see, and you said Catwoman and the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And then Catwoman and the Penguin's number 2.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, we'll leave it at that. So you did like it, which I'm glad. Any closing thoughts for Batman Returns?
No, I loved it.
Good.
It was a good movie.
Good.
To me, it wasn't scary. There was a lot of stuff being destroyed and blown up.
Which, I mean, you can't really afford that in 1966.
Yeah.
So this is...
But, yeah, I loved it.
You loved it? Good. Okay. For those who have seen it, what did you guys think? Like I said, this is actually my favorite, for better or for worse. So, what'd you think of Danny DeVito? What'd you think of Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Keaton, Christopher Walken? I was like, I know I'm missing somebody in there. Yeah. Christopher Walken, lots of characters, the Penguin, the Catwoman, everybody. So go ahead, let me know what you guys think about this movie. God, we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of this is right around the corner. So go ahead, let us know what you think of it, and we will see you guys next time for the third movie, Batman Forever.